Anytime the gaming community talks about Super Smash Bros., it's for one of three reasons. Someone smells bad, someone's creepy, or something happened with Nintendo. And shocker, one of those things happened today. A huge bombshell was dropped on us by Nintendo that might mean the end of the Smash scene as we know it. Think I'm being dramatic? You might want to keep listening. So today, it was announced that the night before Thanksgiving, Nintendo decided to cancel the Smash World Tour, the biggest Smash event of the year. Not just of the year, by the way, but of all time in terms of prize pool. $250,000 for Melee and $250,000 for Ultimate in prizing. That's a $500,000 tournament. It's huge. And that was supposed to happen in 2 weeks, the same weekend as my chess boxing event, which is December 11th. It's not about that, but just remember that fact. Anyway, it was canceled. Why was it canceled? Well, we'll get into that. It's a little more nefarious than you would think, but first we need to talk about the people who organized the Smash World Tour, VG Bootcamp. Now, you might know them because you've seen some of their events, or because you've seen Gimmer, who is famously bald, or because you've seen a video about 10 people getting really upset about the Ice Climbers, which I uploaded, and it's one of my most viewed videos, and I stole all the footage from VG Bootcamp, so thank you to them. I appreciate you guys paying a semester of my college tuition. But they had a great idea. Now, the way Smash events usually work is it's a grassroots event. Someone in their college or their region wants to make an event. So they do, and people come to that event. And maybe it grows. And so year after year, it turns from a regional to a national to a worldwide phenomenon. That's normally how events go. But it's all disconnected. It's thankless jobs, and nobody really makes that much money out the end of it. It's all from passion. VG Bootcamp had an idea where we could run a connected circuit. A World Cup of sorts, where throughout the entire year, events will earn you points, and points will get you an invite to the final event, which is worth $250,000, and you can be the world champion of Melee or Ultimate. At least that's the idea on the surface. And it worked really well. It happened this entire past year. There was a ton of events that were part of it, including an event I streamed on my channel, Phantom, and many, many others. And it was supposed to happen again in 2 weeks. That was the idea before it got canceled. Not a bad idea. Now, coincidentally, the month after the Smash World Tour was announced, there was another Circuit World Tour that was also announced, the Panda Cup. Now, this was created by Panda Global, who you guys might know as an esports team that is mainly rooted in Smash and fighting games as a whole. These are some of their players, these are some of their fighting game players, these are some of their influencers, and they got someone for chess. And that's Panda. Panda is run by Dr. Allen. This is going to be important because he has done some things that I find to be a bit nefarious. Now, Allen has been running Panda and also wanted this utopian idea of a connected event, a circuit that would include everybody and would create a grand champion at the end. Now, I would argue it's not a bad thing for a community to have 2 World Cups, World Tours, whatever you want to call them. It's just more Smash to watch, more Smash to enjoy. Now, this event, again, was announced a little bit after the Smash World Tour, but it hasn't been canceled. It has no plans to be canceled. Why? Well, their event is officially licensed by Nintendo. Now, on the surface, you might just think to yourself, well, okay, Nintendo licensed this one, but didn't license this one. It's Nintendo back at it again. They just don't understand the community, and they decided to go with one event, even though they should have gone with both. Now, it's not a shocker that Nintendo would cancel an event. It's happened many times in the past, usually to large public outcry that sometimes overturns their decision. But this is not as simple as let's just tweet out #SaveSmash and pray that somebody at Nintendo catches up on this and then reverses the decision. There's, again, things that are a little seedier at play here. So this event was submitted, the Smash World Tour, April 9th for review to be licensed by Nintendo. Because the way that running tournaments work is that the people who created the IP, the publisher, the developer, they own the rights to broadcasting that game. So it's happened in the past where maybe people stream God of War a bit too early in Australia and they get banned. Well, they can do that. They own the IP. They decide who gets to broadcast that. The same thing happens with tournaments. If they don't want you to run a tournament, they can say no. And the way it's worked for 20 years is that we have kind of just run tournaments and done our own thing and got no help from Nintendo. And Nintendo makes games and movies with Chris Pratt and does their own thing. And we don't mix. We don't mix. You don't approve our tournaments. You don't deny our tournaments. We just do our thing. You do your thing. But recently, Nintendo has been getting into the habit of approving events, licensing events, like the Panda Cup. Now, people were a little nervous about that because they thought, well, okay, maybe this is a bad thing because if they're licensing events, What will happen to the events that aren't licensed? Are those events going to suddenly get canceled? No, we thought back in the day when we were young and naive. But it turns out that the answer might just be yes. Any event that's not licensed by Nintendo might just get outright canceled. And the licensing process, according to this Medium post by the leaders of VG Bootcamp, the leaders of the Smash World Tour, seems nightmarish. Now, they had gotten in conversations with Nintendo as early as January of 2022 to approve their event for December that same year and for their entire Smash World Tour, their entire circuit. They sent the proposal on April 9th. Again, they did not hear back on that proposal until 7.5 months later, the night before Thanksgiving, right? And so what was happening in the meantime? Why were they taking so long to reply when they were able to so quickly approve the Panda Cup? Well, apparently what was happening is Alan, the CEO and co-founder of Panda, was going around to different tournaments that were meant to be a part of the circuit, different regional organizers, and saying, hey, just so you guys know, you guys are organizing an event and it's supposed to be part of the Smash World Tour. I would not personally do that because that event is going to get shut down and they're not going to come back in 2022 at all, which is kind of a weird thing to do. But how would Alan have this information when the leaders of VG Bootcamp were literally talking to Nintendo execs directly? And those Nintendo execs reminded them that Nintendo is not shutting down anything unless it infringes on IP with game mods, and that the Panda CEO does not represent Nintendo, and that Panda's license is not exclusive, so we can have multiple circuits at once, and that Nintendo's goal is not to gatekeep or trap the community, and that the license guidelines would be accessible and clear. They seemed to be very, very forthcoming, in almost in a shocking move, easy to work with. What a phrase, Nintendo, easy to work with. It was a surprise, but it was a huge confidence boost. So they decided to go ahead with their event, even though Alan was doing these kind of weird things. Now, the way it was meant to work is that, again, you would pull from these grassroots events, and those would grant points to people who went to them, and the more points you get, the higher chance you have of getting invited to the final event at the end of the year. That's how both circuits work. Now, the Smash World Tour said, hey, any event can be considered a Smash World Tour circuit event, and you can earn points at it. We don't care if it's also a Panda Cup event. The Panda Cup originally was like, you know what? We want all of our events to be exclusive. We want to make sure that every event that's part of the Panda Cup is not a part of the Smash World Tour. And so Alan, the CEO, was going around to event organizers and guaranteeing them that the Smash World Tour one is going to fail and that it would be a mistake not to go with the people licensed by Nintendo. Some implications there that if they weren't to go with Panda, that maybe their event would even get shut down. Now, this didn't end up working because many events declined Panda because there's really a lot of community and trust that's built over decades. So people stayed with VG Bootcamp. So Panda had no choice but to double dip and change their rules. And they'd say, you know what? If it's part of the Smash World Tour, it can also be a part of ours. Okay. Now, this all on the surface seems pretty fine. Okay. Maybe a little bit dog of Alan to go behind people's back like this. But here's where it gets, in my opinion, fucking terrible. Now, one of the largest streamers of Smash events is Beyond the Summit. These guys stream Smash Summit. They stream dozens and dozens of other tournaments. And Panda saw that they had rights to stream those events. The CEO of Panda also wanted broadcasting rights as a part of the deal for events on the Panda Cup. So basically, not only would the event be on the Panda Cup, we also want to be able to broadcast it in some fashion. Beyond the Summit owns the broadcasting rights because they give the ad revenue back. They have a deal with the people who they work with. They end up giving them a better cut than if you were to stream it by yourself, as well as getting more viewership. And Beyond the Summit was like, well, hey, we're not going to give you the broadcast rights for free. So no, we're not just going to give you that. The CEO of Panda escalated things and made a variety of threats to Beyond the Summit, including threatening to shut down their entire Smash operation in 2023 if they did not join the Panda Cup. Beyond the Summit held firm. They said, fuck that shit. The CEO of Panda warned them that they would get Nintendo involved. My dad works at Nintendo, says Alan. He will seriously mess your shit up if you don't work with us. You have to be my friend. Beyond the Summit holds strong. Now, I have full confidence that the words of Beyond the Summit are true because I've worked with this team to make projects like Mogul Money or even Juiced. And just today, one of the co-founders of BTS tweeted out, Alan spent several months running a protection racket, telling TOs, including Beyond the Summit, it'd be a shame if your event got shut down for being unlicensed, in an effort to scare them into signing on to the cup. Not just signing on to the cup, but signing on exclusively and also giving broadcast rights. Now, this was basically all shoved out of the way and quieted, and people were like, Alan, you're being nuts. Stop threatening that. None of this is actually going to happen. We care about our community, not just about making your event better. And that all seemed fine and dandy until, of course, they decided the night before Thanksgiving to cancel the Smash World Tour. And the cancellation to me is crazy because there was radio silence between Nintendo and VG Bootcamp for months until they finally hit them up and said, hey, this is the end. You guys will not be sanctioned. As a last-ditch effort, I'm just going to read this here. They asked if they could continue to run the championship and the tour next year without a license and shift the focus to doing a professional thing in 2024. Because in the past, for the past 20 years, the way it's worked is, again, Nintendo stays in their own lane. We stay in our own lane. You don't approve events. You don't deny events, but we are able to coexist. And the person at Nintendo directly told them those times are over. There is no longer a way to run Smash events unless they are licensed by Nintendo directly. We are not talking about an event this time that has mods being used, like what happened with the Big House about a year ago. We are not talking about an event that has anything nefarious attached to it. We are just talking about a plain old Smash event that got canceled, in part, it seems, because someone at Panda, a.k.a. Alan, was strong-arming a connection he had Nintendo to shut down any event that was not his own. It's almost like a video game villain who wants to tear down the world so he can rebuild it for his own because he sees this utopia where we have this beautiful circuit, the Panda Cup, the final one true say where everyone will go to compete, and then at the end of the year have the true Super Bowl, and no one else can compete with him. But the way he's doing it is by shutting down everybody else along the way, which to me is insane. Now, Alan has not yet replied and spoken out about this. He's receiving a lot of trash on Twitter. Look, I always say this, but don't feel a need to join in on that. You can wait to see what Alan says first. All right, after we saw the Doom situation, it's never good to jump the gun on attacking people online. But for the info and the receipts and the people who I trust who have spoken out so far, this is fucking huge news and devastating news for the Smash scene as a whole. What does it mean for me? Am I going to be able to run a Smash event in the future? Every single Smash event I have run has not been sanctioned by Nintendo. I have just run it. As a guy who has a lot of money because he got really successful in Lucky Streaming, I just sometimes say, I want to run Smash event now, and then do it. That's what I do. Am I going to no longer be able to do that because Alan wants his universe where everyone has to be sanctioned by Nintendo and part of the Panda Cup at the same time? If that's the case, how am I supposed to achieve my dream of running the biggest Smash event ever? How am I supposed to even run another one of those invitationals again? I might be someone who's down to take the risk because the money lost, the tens of thousands in marketing or employees' times is something that I can bear to lose. But the tournament organizers, absolutely not. It's not a shocker, I assume, for you guys to hear that the people who are running the Smash events aren't exactly rich. In fact, the only way to get rich is to leave the Smash scene, something I've always known. And so there's been a few people who have spoken out on Twitter, a few of the best players in the world. I don't know about y'all, but if everything said about Panda is true, I'm done supporting them in any form. Unbelievable how many hundreds of people will be affected by this, most likely skipping Panda Cup. Fizzy tweeted out, our best resource as a community, in my opinion, is to boycott any Panda Cup event, and additionally, any event associated with Nintendo. And there was a little bit of a differing opinion from Leffen, whose opinion I trust when he's not talking about how much Jigglypuff likes to fly around. I think it's very important to prioritize making Nintendo change their minds on shutting down the Smash World Tour, and that's something I emphatically agree on. If there's one thing that needs to come out of this, sure, fine. Boycott Panda, right. Alan might be a piece, okay. But we need to be able to run events without the approval of Nintendo, or at least have an easier process to get approval from Nintendo. If you apply for approval in April and you don't hear back until November, that's a problem. That's a problem. I'll tell you what, my events usually are turned around in about 6 weeks, so it wouldn't even work 3 times, 4 times over. We definitely need Nintendo to at least let us stay in our lane. Let us do our thing. Let us create the events that the grassroots creators have been creating for 2 decades now. The Smash scene that hasn't died since 2001. Anyway, that's where we end now. Look, it never hurts to tweet out about this, to get some trends going, to at least try to get in the ear of somebody at Nintendo. I don't know if it's true, but it was rumored that in 2013, when EVO, one of the largest fighting game tournaments of the year, announced that Melee would be a part of it, and Nintendo shut that down, the entire outpour of love from the Smash community and the outcry for bringing it back to the event was seen by the wife of one of the execs who work at Nintendo. I don't know if this is true, but it's a rumor. And that was enough to reverse the decision. So maybe that's enough right now. Making a loud enough voice that somebody at Nintendo with enough power hears to reverse a decision that, as far as I see, might spell the end of Smash if it's not through the all-powerful hands of Alan and Panda. And it's definitely worth noting that a lot of the people at Panda, in fact, most of the people you would know at Panda, are not at fault for this. You can't blame a player. You can't blame a social media guy, an intern, for what the actions of the CEO are. I blame the CEO and the CEO alone. Again, I await to see what he says about it, but as of now, this is fucked, and I hope we're able to save Smash. That's all, boys. Huge drama. Hope it gets resolved. I'll keep you updated. See you later.